Good morning. Our opening song is 1069, Ancient Mother. This is a song from the Navajo tradition. We're going to sing it through 5 times, and halfway through that, you're going to hear something magical begin to happen through the addition of other voices that will sing some complementary melodies. I will keep singing with you, so you can focus on me if that helps you, but really enjoy this wonderful sound that we're going to get halfway through it. In body or in spirit, please rise with me and sing 1069, Ancient Mother. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
Good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West on this hallowed Sunday here in Brookfield, Wisconsin. It's good to be together on traditional territory inhabited at various times by the native peoples of the 7 Council Fires, Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Menominee, Peoria, and Miami nations. May we be humbly grateful for the privilege of living here. As an anti-racist faith community, we are distressed by the rising identity-based political violence in our country. We were all shaken when we learned about the fatal stabbing of Wadia al-Fayoum, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American child, and the serious injury of his mother in Chicago. Sadly, this is just one incident in a disturbing trend over the last weeks as we witness an increase in violence between Jews and Muslims, against Jews and Muslims. As we witness this violence, let us not turn away. Let us continue to commit ourselves to the values of peace, racial justice, and right relations. My name is Jeannie Baker, and I serve as the president of UUCW's Board of Trustees. This congregation expands beyond these walls, as each week there are many folks joining us virtually. So wherever you are right now, whoever you are, whatever your age or color, whatever your gender identity, whatever your chosen beliefs, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Here's a bit of housekeeping to help you be comfortable and welcome this morning. This is a multi-generational community, and we welcome the presence and sounds of all ages in the sanctuary all the time. Our nursery is open, and programming for children and youth begins after the story time. If this is your first time here, we'd love to have you fill out the welcome side of the yellow card. And we hope to see you at the newcomers table in the foyer after the service. If you're online and you want more information, please email us at visitor@uucw.org. There are lots of announcements printed on your order of service, now called afterthoughts. Note, everybody. Grab your coffee and tea, head up to UL4, one of the rooms at the top of the ramps. There are some, if you'd like to join a conversation after the service, grab your coffee and tea and head up to UL4. There will be some questions to guide your conversation. A new topic. The ministerial search team is preparing a video to introduce this beautiful congregation to prospective candidates. You all know what that's about. And there are folks here on site today doing some filming. If you have any concerns about being seen in this video, please speak to somebody from the ministerial search team or speak to Rev Yulin after the service. Our next EarthSpirit service is for winter solstice, and we are looking for a male-identified person to run the sun in. It involves a costume, some hooting and hollering, and the ability to run. So if this is you, please be in touch with Melissa Musante. Finally, take this as your first notice, and I'm taking this too, that next Sunday is when daylight savings time ends. Who will be the person to come here 1 hour early? Maybe me. You'll get an extra hour of sleep if you take it. But if not, bear in mind you're going to be here an hour early. Now that we have the business of coming together squared away, let's center ourselves to participate in this time together. We'll begin by hearing about the meaning of today's service.
Today's Samhain service is part of UUCW's EarthSpirit cycle, which celebrates rituals of the ancient religions, typically 6 times each year. We do this for many reasons, not the least of which is our embrace of religious pluralism and the acknowledgement that this is the spiritual tradition of many folks within our community. The spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which honor the sacred circle of life, are among the sources of inspiration that we turn to for guidance. In addition, our 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part, would have us pay attention to the passing of the seasons in order to become more cognizant of the web of life in which we live and have our being.
In earth-centered religions, we not only acknowledge the circle of life, but also the divine feminine and the cycles of her life. And often the goddess is expressed through 3 aspects: maiden, mother, and crone. And today our Samhain service examines the crone aspect, something that lives within all of us. At the turning of this season, it's time to get real about what aging means, personally, no matter our age. It's also a time to examine what we can learn from the crone, no matter our gender identity. And here are some questions that can help us with this exploration.
What am I learning from my experiences? How can I live well into my future? What parts of myself need attention if I am to live well into my future? How might I incorporate my limitations however or whenever they show up while continuing to live life fully? Who are my ancestor and elder role models, and how do I honor them and their wisdom? What are my fears about aging?
One reason today's ritual honoring the crone is so important is because our society has a problem with aging. We devalue old people. We fear aging. We even hate the idea of aging and have villainized the traditional imagery of the crone, making her ugly and repugnant, a witch. Earth-centered religion writer Scott Cunningham suggests that we look at the ugly witch features so prevalent this time of year through a different lens. So take a look at the picture on the order of service. Cunningham writes, "See the blackness of the clothing as the blackness of the sky during the waning moon. See the hat as a symbol of her life, as the maiden at its brim, as the mother at its midpoint, and finally as the crone at its top. See the broom, if any, as a symbol of the crone's ability to travel backward in time to retrieve her experience. Her white hair represents the moon. The cat is her companion, a minion of the night. And most importantly, see within her face, however disfigured it may seem to be, her determination and her fire, her caring for her children and the wisdom and strength that she's acquired. And if it's green, see it as the green of the earth, the coming fertility of the maiden and the mother that she'll bear anew at the first quarter of the moon. Let us today take a new look at aging and gain a new perspective. Now, please rise in body and or spirit as we call in the directions.
Spirits of the east, spirits of air of blessings fair, we're calling you here to bring possibilities. Spirits of the south, spirits of fire of passion's desire, we're calling you here to burn away fear and cold. Spirits of the west, spirits of water flow with our tears, we're calling you here to bring to us hope and love. Spirits of the north, spirits of earth, of stone and rebirth, we're calling you here to ground us in your strength. Spirits of the all, spirits of center calling us here, we follow your guidance, grateful for all you bring.
I invite the children or young at heart, if they'd like to come and sit on the floor before me here as I tell the story, the Night Walk story. Excellent choice. You can hover if you want. As many stories go, a long time ago, in a village not far from here, a reunion was planned, a reunion of the people in the village. And the children love to look forward to this. This story, this reunion happened once a year, of course, and the children would gather in a large building, and they would gather at noon, listen to the stories, the history of their family, told by the old grandmother and the grandfathers, and the aunts and uncles who knew the history. Some of the stories were funny, some were scary, some were just goofy or had morals to them. And they gathered at noon. And one child was very excited to look forward to the story, like many of the other ones. And so at noon, the stories began. And the job of the children during the stories was to go to the nearby stream to gather water and bring it back for the storyteller when they became thirsty. This was a time when you could drink right out of the stream without a problem. And one child, during the stories began at noon, and the light coming in the windows of the lodge were very bright. People were sitting on the floor listening to the stories. And one child thought to themselves, gee, I hope my name is called to go to that stream to get water before it gets dark. Of course, it was just afternoon, and they didn't think that much about it. And the stories continued. The oldest grandmother told a story, and then the oldest grandfather, and the aunts and uncles. And then time went on, and the sun began to set. And they noticed kind of orange sunset light coming in the western side of the building. And this child began to think to themselves, what's going to happen if they call my name after dark? And I have to go out to the stream without a light by myself to get water. But they thought, it's probably not going to happen. They're going to call me before the sun sets. And the stories continued. And then it got dark. The sun set, and there was no light coming in the lodge at all. And this child thought, oh no, my name hasn't been called. There's no way that I want to go out to the stream and after dark by myself. But they were afraid to let anybody know that they were full of fear. And so they sat very still. And then it happened. The grandmother said, my child, I thirst. And this child, a chill went through their body from the top of their head out to their feet. But they didn't want anybody to know that they were afraid. So they stood up very slowly, and they walked up to the grandmother, picked up the water container, and headed towards the door. And just before they went out the door, they stared into the fire, helping to take some of the fire light with them. And then they stepped out the door, and boom, took off running towards the stream. No sooner did they get off the porch that something tripped them. And they were so afraid that they stood up and kept running. And as they were going to the edge of the woods, something was pulling at their legs and pulling at their pants, and they fell several times. And when they looked up, thousands of eyes were looking down at them. They were so afraid, they stood up again and fell right into the stream. They didn't even realize they were that close because they were so afraid. So they filled up the water container and carried it back. And on the way back to the lodge, the same things happened. Something was pulling at their legs, pulling at their pants, and they tripped several times, and those eyes followed them all the way back to the lodge. They got back to the lodge and they stopped, took a deep breath, walked inside, and calmly handed the water to the grandmother. And she said, thank you, my child. And the child went to sit down. Just before they were about to sit in their spot, cross-legged, the grandmother said, my child, I thirst. And they couldn't believe their ears. But they had fallen so many times, all the water spilled out of the container. And they had to go back out there again. But they were so afraid, and they didn't want anybody to know they were afraid, so they just walked up slowly to the grandmother, picked up the water container, and headed towards the door. And the grandmother stopped the child this time, and said, my child, remember, do not stare into the fire. Let your eyes adjust to the darkness. And remember the places that you're going to get the water. You will be surrounded by the trees and the plants and the birds and the animals that you see and play with during the day. And this time the child did not stare into the fire, stepped out on the porch and stopped and let their eyes adjust to the darkness. And they heard in the distance the sound of the barred owl. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. And they could hear the sound of the very slow katydid as winter was coming on. And one lonely bullfrog. And they knew the exact direction to go to get the water. They stepped off the porch and started to head into the woods, and something tripped them. But they were moving slow enough, so they stopped and looked back. And it was the root of a tree growing across the path. They had stepped over that root many times during the day. And they stood up and headed into the woods, and something grabbed at their pants and pulled at their legs, and they looked back, and they noticed it was raspberry bushes, thorn bushes, places where they'd collected berries many times. And they kind of laughed to themselves because they felt foolish. And they thought, surely those eyes were real. And they looked up and they saw thousands of stars looking down at them. Then they walked all the way to the stream, filled up the water container, and headed back to the lodge. They walked inside and handed the water to the grandmother, and she said, "Thank you, my child." And they sat down. And the places that we travel, if we take our time, allow our senses to explore what's around us, we can be safe. Please join me as we invite our children to go to religious education. Dave is going to light the chalice. Kids, as you help me sing, we'll wait till this light is glowing. Here we go. It's in your order of service. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
This poem, called Season of the Crone, is by Jorina Dunwich. Crone of Samhain's spellbound cold, in her cauldron of black are told secrets ancient, truths and tales, mystery her light unveils. She is wisdom, she is changes, time and space she rearranges. In her hands, the card of death, for transformation is her breath. Crone of Samhain, grandmother wise, look into her gargoyle eyes. Let her lessons teach you well. Life is but a magic spell.
So please rise in body and/or spirit to sing number 1051, We Are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We
We are. Because of all those who've gone before, because others have lived and aged before us, we are. We are fathers of time and daughters of dust, sons of great vision and sisters of mercy. We're lovers of life, seekers of truth, and makers of the wisdom of ages. Several years ago, I was working in my backyard behind the thick climbing hydrangea that grew between me and my neighbor's deck. And the neighbor boys were young teens then. And on this day, they had several friends over in those after-school hours before their moms got home from work. Now, the boys were taunting the older, who admittedly was blonde and very cute, sister, catcalling for her to come out of the house to pleasure them. I gave her brothers a few moments to step in, and when they didn't, I stepped into sight to let that little gang know how inappropriate and disrespectful they were being. And one of those guests yelled, "It's the old lady!" And the pack of boys took off running. I left a message for the moms that I wanted to share what had happened. And later, upon hearing about it, they were appalled and later brought the boys over to apologize. But what was stunning to me was that the boys apologized for calling me an old lady, not for the awful manner in which they were treating Emily. We had more conversation, and I think I made my point. But to those young boys, I was an old lady. And while it can be shocking to hear oneself referred to in that way, especially when I was maybe not yet 60, they weren't wrong. To them, I was old. So I continued to wonder why the 40-ish moms thought that calling me old, not the commodifying of their daughter, was the greater offense. Just yesterday, I heard a podcast interviewing a journalist whose beat used to be the beauty industry, lamenting the fact that on TikTok, 25-year-olds are being dismissed as old. She also shared that in the beauty industry, the line between young and old is about the same, so that if someone, no matter their age, wants to look young, the target is to look 25 or younger. And apparently, we're in the midst of a Botox, facelift, and eye lift boom, with people younger and younger buying into it, fueled by social media. What if we believed that no matter our age, that age, any age, is a passing moment in time with its own benefits, its own learnings, its own challenges, and part of the natural, beautiful cycle of things? No age is superior to another. At least I would hope we could embrace as a truth that all ages are beautiful. Now, to continually to present oneself as 25, especially by consuming products, is to actually freeze or erase all evidence of actually having any lived experience. To look young is to pretend, to try to project that you haven't lived through anything. It's to eliminate the ability to exhibit to the world the accumulation of wisdom and perspective that comes with aging. I mean, after all, is it not beautiful to be wizened and still alive to share that wisdom with the world? Today we're celebrating the Crone and facing our fears about aging in order that we might better embrace the old lady, the crone, the witch that resides in each of us. Now here's what I know about aging, and I see that many in this room have more wisdom on this topic than I do, but that's wisdom I hope to yet accumulate. I want to emulate you. I want to grow into who you are, those of you who are my elders. Yes, this body wears out. All of our bodies wear out. I have more aches and pains and limitations than I did even a few years ago. Although we know from the service a few weeks ago about disability justice that the body's ableness and strength is a temporary state of grace for all of us at any age. I also must insist that my increasing physical limitations are not the whole of me, and there is much that's improving with age. Now, this list might be different for different people, but for example, for me, I know more things. Now, sure, technology is outpacing me, yet what I know to be true feels solid, more solid than it has ever before, including the reality that there are many things I can't know. That's a truth I can just rest into now. And included in that are things that I can still learn from those who are younger and older than me, those who have different lived experience than my own. As I age, I'm much more at peace with myself. I more easily accept my faults and failings and don't spend much time stewing over them, not because I can't continue to learn, but because I've learned that the stewing itself is kind of a waste of time. And indeed, time has become more precious. Rather than thinking that I have to be productive in every moment and check everything off my to-do list, I make different decisions now about how to use my time. Or at least it's a little easier to allow myself more space and more rest, more downtime, which, in a beautiful way, just gives me more time to reflect. And the more time that goes by, the greater the pool of things that I have to reflect upon. As was said about the broomstick earlier, with it, I have the ability to travel back in time and collect my experiences. The trials, the adventures, the relationships of my life have become things to study, to appreciate, to learn from. And all of that experience, including the hurts and the mistakes and the disappointments, are things that I can feel grateful for because they continue to contribute ongoingly to who I am becoming. I'm always, at any age, becoming my own true, unique self. Aging is a becoming. We're always becoming our better selves, I hope. If we're alive, we are aging. And all of us are aging from the moment we're born. So to age is something of an achievement, a gift, a lovely softening, and a part of life's journey that we need not fear. And so this week, as ghouls and goblins wander our neighborhoods, what if any time we see a witch, rather than exhibiting fear, we would look in their face and tell them how beautiful they are and how much we admire their life and their wisdom? We have nothing to fear in the Crone and in our own croning. May it be so.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Musante. I am your EarthSpirit team leader. That's hard to say. In honor of the Crone goddess, it's a great idea to spend some time confronting your own fears and investigating what's getting in the way of being you. What's stopping you from being who you really are? Today's ritual action is going to help us face our fears, maybe not conquer them, but perhaps learn from them. So right now, the EarthSpirit team is going to start handing out some stuff. The first thing they're going to do is Petra and Sophia are going to be handing out some paper towels. You know it's going to be a doozy of a ritual when I'm handing out paper towels. We're doing this because we're going to be working actually with something from the beauty industry. We're going to be working with some mud mask stuff, and so we'd like to not get it on the chairs or the floor or whatever. So kind of have that paper towel around, and when you're done at the end of the day, the ushers will have some little bags at the back that you can place that garbage in, and I will actually do a ritual burning of that on Samhain night. Okay, so when you're done, we can just put that all into a burnable bag. It's all natural stuff. It can burn. It'll be okay. All right, so they're going to hand that out, and then other members of the EarthSpirit team are going to be handing out some little wooden spoons like you get on the 4th of July. Okay, so take one of these spoons and hold on to it. All right, and then the last element of the ritual is going to be some mud. So what you're going to do is you're just going to scoop a little tiny bit of this, like really you just need this much because this mud dries really slow. So just take a little bit of this and hold on to it. Hopefully all of you will have that by the time I lead you into meditation, okay? Like some mud? I've recently entered my own Crone years, and something really cool happened. I let stuff go. I used to be afraid that I wasn't enough. I let that go. I used to be afraid that I had to fit in. I let that go. I used to be afraid to speak up in defense of myself. I really let that one go. And I understood that when I don't speak up for myself, I don't speak up for others who are facing similar biases. And I was able to let that all go because with the breadth of my experience, I realized there was nothing to fear. That people would accept me for me, or they wouldn't. And as someone once said, what other people think of me is none of my business. I was also able to do this because of this community. Life experiences taught me that community is key in facing our fears. So today, we're going to think about our own fears. Not the external fears of things like war and global warming, or the state of public discourse that we're all distressed by. Yes, those are all things we should be concerned about and maybe even fearful of. But what are our self-fears? Today we're going to confront those self-fears as a community. Yep, I'm asking you to be vulnerable with each other. Later, you're going to use this phase with each other, so please repeat it after me. May your fear bring you wisdom. May your fear bring you wisdom. I ask you all to respect each other's fear by not judging it. It may not be a fear to you. It may even seem silly. But it's not yours to judge. It's not yours to dispel. Your role as a community member is to support even if you don't understand. Okay, does everybody have some mud? All right. If you don't have mud yet, wave, wave your marshmallow stick. Let's see. Is there anybody that feels they may need help? They want a partner sitting next to them to help, because you're going to put this mud on one of your hands. So if one of your hands isn't working, this is going to be hard for you. Okay. If at any time you feel like you need help, just raise your hand and one of the team members will come and sit with you. Okay? So team members, watch for raised hands, please. Okay? Okay. Let's soften our focus. Breathe in, relax. Remember, you are among friends. What are you afraid of? It's a tough question. It's so much easier to just not think about it. But fear is like a check engine light on your car. It's not going to go away on its own. So what are you afraid of? Remember, you're in a safe space, surrounded by people that care about you. This loving community, even if they don't know you well, does care. Even if you're new here, you've never been here before. I can assure you that the people in this room care about you. So what are you afraid of? Can you name it? Now, visualize moving that fear outside of yourself and into the mud on your spoon. Listen to your ancestors. They'll help you push it out there. They're in the room. Now, take the mud on your spoon and smear it on yourself. You can put it on the back of your hand. That's probably easiest. Feel that sudden chill. You know, when you're afraid, sometimes you get chills down your spine. Feel that chill. Now feel it settling in. Release it. It's not going to hurt you. It's just fear. It's nothing but mud. Now, my mud hasn't quite started to dry yet, but as we work through this, it's going to. And you're going to feel it tighten. And as you feel it tighten, think about how sometimes fear locks us up. But if we're aware of it, and if we can breathe through it, and just flex, the fear crumbles and cracks and dissipates. As you're ready, come back into awareness and find a partner. Those of you who are here as couples, please be aware of those who are here as solos and partner up with them, please. All right. We're going to keep breathing. I'm going to take turns, and I want you to look each other in the eye. And when I say so, go. Turn to your partner and express your fear. And if you're not able to do that, if the fear is too heavy, it's okay. Just nod to your partner, and your partner will know that you have done what you have needed to do to deal with that. And your partner will say, "May your fear bring you wisdom." Go ahead. If you haven't switched, do so now, so that everybody gets to express their fear to each other. Yeah.
So how are you feeling?
Was that difficult? Risky? Maybe it felt a relief to you? Naming our fears, today those particular ones about aging or living well into our futures, I think can really help us coexist with those fears, to live with them rather than suppressing them and thereby giving them more power than they actually have. I know it can feel like we're opening up to our vulnerabilities to name our fears, and yet kind of counterintuitively naming them as a way to claim our own agency over them, being witnessed. That is, naming our fears aloud to others, particularly within community, just creates this web of support in which we're truly seen and known. No one will judge you for those fears. No one will try to fix you, not here. We'll just listen and hold you in love. And no one outside of the circle present here right now will hear this. It's just between us. So feel free to do that. But if anyone here would like to publicly name their fear, you're invited to do so now. You can come forward, form a line to either side. I'll offer you the mic and light a candle for you. And if you'd rather share from where you're seated, just raise your hand and Deb will bring you a mic to your seat. I'm going to light a candle for everyone online. Like all of us, I know that all of you have fears. There are fears that reside in you daily, hourly, by the minute. And everyone in this room and those fears that remain unspoken, I know you, and this candle is for your bravery, for taking those risks, for being vulnerable with each other. May your fears bring you wisdom.
All-seeing and knowing, free me from my ties that bind me, from the sorrows and the pain. Great Goddess, all-seeing and all-knowing, help me surrender all that is not true. Help me to surrender to you.
What circles in my head and binds my heart? What holds me back? What am I resisting? Great Goddess, all-seeing and knowing, free me from my ties that bind me. Free me from the sorrows and pain. Great Goddess, all-seeing and all-knowing, help me surrender all that is not true. Help me to surrender to you.
What circles in my head and binds my heart? What holds me back? What am I resisting? Great Goddess, all-seeing and knowing, free me from my ties that bind me. Free me from the sorrows and pain. Great Goddess, all-seeing and all-knowing, help me surrender all that is not true. Help me surrender to you.
Dum, 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 dum.
Listen more often to things when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
One of the ways that UUCW helps address human needs and advance social justice in our community is through our Split the Plate program. Thanks to a suggestion from Kara Limbach, our Split the Plate partner for October is Milwaukee Area Technical College, FAST Fund. FAST stands for Faculty and Students Together. The FAST Fund helps students with a serious, immediate financial challenge meet that challenge and stay in school. MATC members of the local 212 Teachers Union began the FAST Fund in 2017. They were moved by the fact that during the school year, up to 20% of MATC students are homeless, and close to 50% are food insecure. Some students have classroom needs like laptops and exam fees and even eyeglasses. They are at MATC seeking the secure and independent future that comes from having a competent skill set and a solid job. Last year, the FAST Fund assisted almost 1,700 students, on a 120% increase over the previous year. With the current critical need for workers, this is a win-win situation for both Milwaukee and MATC and the students. To help support the MATC FAST Fund, go to UUCW webpage, Donate tab, and select Split the Plate from the menu. Or text or email your donation today using the information found here. Thank you for your generosity to the MATC FAST Fund. We will now gratefully receive your offering.
The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, I awake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be. I go and I lie down where the wood drake rests in the beauty of on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars awaiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
In earth-centered religions, we send the energy we raise during the service back into the ground. Please rise in body or in spirit as we release the circle and ground the energy. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, fire I am, water, earth, and spirit I am.
Our closing song is number 1021 in your teal hymnal, Lean on Me. Let's enjoy singing this together. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show.